As this is our first episode, I'm going to hand over to Wa-Na-Nee-Che to explain a little bit about his heritage and also how he prefers to be referred to. Because if I said, "Are you a Native American?" what would you say, Wa-Na-Nee-Che?
No.
No. So, do you want to elaborate on that then?
Well, a Native American Indian does not exist because we were here long before they called this country America, and we don't come from India. To us, we are different cultures, but we are human beings. And all the languages of all the tribes reference to the fact that they were human beings, like Anishinaabe, which is Ojibwa, which my culture is on one side with my mother. It basically means real people of the earth, and that makes us indigenous. On my father's side, he was Lakota. And again, Lakota, Nakota, Dakota isn't their original name. They were, it was the original name, but they were known as Sioux,
hmm
which basically was a derogatory meaning snake in the grass cutthroat. So they were kicked out of Canada and they traveled down into Minnesota, down into Wisconsin, down into North Dakota and South Dakota, and that's where they end up settling. But a lot of people didn't realize that at one time they lived in log homes,
Okay.
not teepees, because teepees was invented because they traveled a lot. They went from place to place. The Anishinaabe were more settled. They were more basically within their own culture, and they lived in different type of dwellings. Now, Wa-Na-Nee-Che, basically, again, a lot of people, once they've been connected as a real person of the earth, they will get a name, and the name will come in vision. So an elderly lady came up to me in the vision and said, "Your name is Wa-Na-Nee-Che." So I used the name Wa-Na-Nee-Che, I took it on, and I never knew what it meant. One day when I was doing a conflict resolution thing over at Wind Cave, in which the Lakota tribe had taken over, I was there to negotiate a peace deal. And when I was walking with one of the pipe carriers, we were talking. He said, "You have a very powerful name." I looked at me, I said, "Dennis?" And he started to laugh. He said, "No, your native name that was given to you in vision." I said, "Wa-Na-Nee-Che." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Would you like to know what it means?" I said, "Yes," because I had used it for about 10 years, not knowing what it meant. And he said, "Wa-Na-Nee-Che translated means one who is needed by the people."
Okay.
And that was one good thing. I know a lot of people didn't realize that I worked for the Justice Department in the Civil Rights Division for 24 years. And I was fortunate because, number one, being the only Indigenous person in the agency, when a problem arose on one of the reservations, I was sent in. And while I was there, I got to meet all these spiritual people. Frank Foolsquell, Black Elk, not the original Black Elk, but grandson of Black Elk, Martin Highbear, Medicine Bear Chief, Elizabeth Castor. I got to meet a lot of the elders there who were very spiritual. And they were the ones that basically got me on my pathway.
Okay.
And
Have you always been spiritual then, would you say, since a child, or is it something that came to you later in life? Because I wasn't certainly spiritual as far as I was concerned until probably, you know, my late 20s.
yeah, no, I was spiritual at a very early age. In fact, one day and in North Dakota, the winters were harsh and it would get up to 75 below zero with the wind chill. So in the middle of January, I happened to walk out and I left the door open. And my mom yelled at me, said, "Dennis, were you born in a barn?" I said, "Mary, you know I was born in a manger." So we use humor sometimes to explain things. And as a young age, I knew there was something because I used to always ask questions, that pertain to religion versus spirituality. And I started getting into it quite a bit because my father was. I was the youngest of nine children.
9.
Yep. And of six girls and three boys. My oldest brother died when he was about one and a half from pneumonia. So I kind of took after my dad's because he was very, very connected. And I remember I was doing things, and then one day I was doing things. It was really hot outside. It was like about 120 degrees. And I said, I'm going to do a rain dance, not knowing what the hell I'm doing, right? So I started doing the rain dance. I started chanting, and all of a sudden, I heard a thunder, and I looked up, and there was a dark cloud over me, and a lightning come out of it. And my mom come out of the house and said, "Quit doing that. You're doing the job with the devil." So I kind of got away from my spirituality then. And of course, my mother was very much into the Catholic religion,
I was just going to
and
ask that.
I became a altar boy. And I always used to ask her, I said, "Why do we have to go to church on Sunday? We have to go to church every damn day when we go to school." He said, "I don't care. You're going to church on Sunday." But as an altar boy, even I used to kind of ask questions about the religion and everything because it just didn't seem right. But it took me a long time before I finally started realizing that I had a very strong spiritual connection. I would have dreams that were really visions, but because I was told they were dreams, I never realized what a vision was until later when I was kind of get not quite on the road. I had a very good friend, and I had actually seen my death in one of my visions. It was December of 1987. They said they showed me a gravestone with my name on it. And it said, yeah, and it said 1987 is when I will pass this earth.
Ah,
So I kind of forgot about it and went on. And then I had a real good friend that basically we used to do a lot of talking. And I had a vision of her being shot. So that night I told her, don't go to work. I said, I got a funny feeling. And she said, you don't understand. I have to go to work. You can't stop me. I said, well, okay. So she went to work. And in my vision, I was shot through the heart. And as I was driving down the road, I collapsed on the wheel on my car. And it felt like something went through my heart. So I turned around, went home, and the phone was ringing. And the doctor was on the line and said, your friend's just been shot. So I went down to the hospital, and by the time I got to the hospital, she had passed. And the bullet hit a rib and went right through her heart, just like the vision. But I didn't really connect anything yet. And about 2 weeks later, I was talking to some of her friends, and she said, it's really kind of funny. I said, what do you mean? She knew she was going to be shot and killed that night. And she said that she had basically done it for a very special person. So about a week after that, I had a vision. And in the vision, I seen my gravestone with my name on it, the date, December 1987. And then a dark shadow came over my tombstone and my name disappeared. It came back, and when the shadow cleared, her name was on it.
ooh.
So she took my place, but that was a good kick in the butt to tell me that I had to start walking my spiritual pathway. So she
So
was
is that when you
responsible.
started then in 1987?
Yep. So that's when everything started. And I started going back to understanding, and I started meeting with Fool's Crow, Martin Highbear, Noble Redman, Elizabeth Fast Horse, all of them. And I'd have a dream, then I would go and talk to them, and they'd say, you didn't have a dream, you had a vision. And I'd ask them, and I'd tell them about it. I had already made an interpretation, but I wanted to ask them. Every one of them came back with the same interpretation I had.
Okay. Could you describe what the difference is between a dream and a vision then?
Okay, a dream is nothing more than subconscious. And in your subconscious, a lot of things are trapped because society traps you.
Hmm.
It's control that they have over your brain. So a dream, sometimes when you have it, will help you resolve problems, everyday problems. And they'll show you solutions so that when you wake up in the morning, you have a solution. Now, a dream could be triggered by just you driving and seeing something, watching something on television and in the movies, and all of a sudden you go to, and that suggestion is implanted. So you'll dream about it. But a dream, basically, again, when you wake up, you're not tired. Now, when you go on a vision, your life force energy, which is in the base of your spine, this is what keeps you alive, leaves your body. You go to a dimension, which there are 28 dimensions that scientists basically tried to say, no, there isn't. Then all of a sudden they found 13.
Yeah,
Well, there's
M theory,
28.
isn't it? And string theory.
Yeah, and 28 different energies. They take your life force energy to there, and they start showing you things that you need to know before they start training you. So what they do is they train you to recognize who you are and what your gift is. And then once you come back, when you wake up, you're dead tired because your energy's working. You know, we can sit there and work all day and we're tired. But then when we sleep and our energy's gone, of course, our energy is being utilized. So when we come back, we're tired. We've been working all night. So that's the difference between a vision and a dream is that when you wake up, you're tired, but you'll remember everything within that vision.
Can
And then,
anybody have a vision then, or
yeah, anybody can have a vision, but society labels it a dream so that you won't connect
so anybody
to.
who's listening or watching, if how would if they've not if they're having their first vision, how would they know?
They'll know because number one, when they wake up, everything that they do in that vision is real. It's like me and you talking now.
Hmm.
When you go into vision, everything is real. Now, once you come out of those visions, sometimes if you don't quite understand it, they'll start sending you, and I have to laugh at a lot of people believe in spirit animals. Oh, I have a spirit animal. No, you don't have a spirit animal. What you have is guides. But a lot of people, when they come to him, oh, I want this. He's a wolf. So he's going to be my spiritual guide. So how do they learn to go to the next step if they capture that particular energy and they don't move on? So the first energy that comes to you, your first guide, is an energy guide. And they start to show you and teach you how to get to your next guide and your next guide until you finally reach and find out who you are and how you're connected to the source of the power, which is the sacred hoop.
That's good. Talking of your hoop, you've got the human circle of life. Was is like your kind of concept, I believe. I don't know if that's the right words I'm using there, but would you like to talk a little bit about that? Because that came from a vision, didn't it?
Okay, the human circle of life is not mine. It was given to me in vision. The first clue I had was when the original Black Elk came to me, and he would call me grandson. And I would say, I'm not your grandson. And I said, you're not my grandfather. But grandson, I said, you're not my grandfather. So I could not be your grandson. And he said, but grandson. And I sat there and looked at him. I said, then you're adopting me. And Black Elk smiled and he said, yes. So we talked and I turned in a vision to go and wake up. And all of a sudden I looked and he was crying. And I asked him why he was crying. And he held up, he said, the sacred hoop is broken. And I looked at him and I said, but grandfather, it can be fixed. And he's crying, everything went away, and he had the biggest smile I've ever seen on a person. And then I woke up. Well, a few weeks later, I had another vision. And that's when they said, there is no such thing as racism. Because how can you be racist against the human race, which everyone belongs to? He said we belong to different cultures. And what has happened is that people discriminate against cultural beliefs.
Hmm.
And this is why we have a problem in getting together. There was a time when we were but one color. They said, but people left. Now, one of the things that people will be proven that we all were one is tobacco. Tobacco is very sacred. It's also a healing medicine, and it's also a connection medicine. But as they started doing DNA on the different colors that left Turtle Island as one, but they became different colors, they find traces of tobacco.
Okay.
So we're all related.
What's the
So in
significance of the tobacco then?
yeah.
No,
So in
what's
the
that? Sorry, I'll let you go on if you want to talk
in the
about that.
vision, they showed me a circle, and in the circle they showed me the four colors: the red, yellow, black, red. But they showed the other three all upside down.
Just wanted to interrupt you because you said red twice. Did you mean white as well?
Pardon?
You said red twice there. I just wondered if you
You
meant
know,
white.
red, yellow, black, and then white.
White, yes.
So anyway, they showed them upside down, and they said it was up to the red hand to bring them upright and to bring their hand into the center to grab the sacred hoop, which there was no color. So that's where the human circle of life emblem came from, to help people become upright and find their connection within the circle itself.
Well, these days it doesn't seem like people are, well, there's a lot of people not wanting to come together, that's for sure. But there is, thanks to the internet, people are able to connect all over the world now. Um, have you got any kind of messages of what people should be doing or how they can not feel the despair of what's going on?
Well, unfortunately, I had two visions. One was if people came back to the sacred hoop, the human circle of life, there was a chance that humanity would be saved. But they also said that people were sitting on a fence and they had to choose between evil and good. But unfortunately, people are basically choosing the evil side. And if enough people basically go over to the evil side, the end of humanity, the end of humans are going to come. But only 80% of them will be destroyed because they no longer believe in the good and what they're supposed to do. It's just like all your religions. Name one religion that is not run by a human being. Whereas in the human circle of life, the religion of this human circle of life is the head of our church is the creator. So the creator gave us but one rule: love.
Well, that is universal from all the teachers of, the founders of religions, because you get that from Buddha, from Jesus, Krishna. They're all saying love. It's just then it becomes a religion, and all of a sudden, you know, the love doesn't seem to be the priority anymore, does it?
Yeah, but they forget too. Jesus was a messenger.
Mm,
And what did he teach? Love.
love.
And what did they do? They crucified him.
That's
We
what you're
call,
up
we
against.
call Jesus actually our brother because he visited us. We have stories, we have pictures of him that scientists can't explain.
Really?
He was with us, and that when he came back, he brought the seven sacred stones, which is the Mother Earth Lodge.
Oh, yes.
It's a doorway. You create a doorway by honoring all that the Creator created, and then at the end, that seventh stone is the Creator, and you open the doorway to the source of the power. That's why Mother Earth Lodge has become so powerful in its own way. Because if people connect, things will happen within the Mother Earth Lodge.
Yeah, I've been to a few of your Mother Earth lodges, and they are a great experience. I hope you're going to come over to the UK again at some point and do them. But
Yep.
I just want to say something though. It was interesting you said 80% of the population are evil. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Professor David Hawkins. He wrote a book called Power versus Force, where he
Uh,
talks about different consciousness levels. And he said that 80% of the world's population is below the point, the critical point, which is, you know, above 80%, above this scale is supporting life, which is 20% of the world population, and below it is that's against life,
mhm.
not necessarily evil. It might be despair, despondency, apathy, those kind of emotions and levels of consciousness. So it's interesting that that's he's been a big influence on some of the stuff I'm into to do with consciousness. He said 80%, and now you're just saying exactly the same. So, are you suggesting there's going to be a cataclysmic event, or is it just?
Well, it can be one of the things that on prophecies, it can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be changed by human beings. If enough human beings decide to take the pathway of love. But if they continue to take the pathway of hate, then they're actually committing to their own destruction. They're judging themselves. And that's what we always told people, that the Creator allows us to judge ourselves to be worthy. So that's why the human circle, if enough people come and join, and then I can start training them on how to reconnect, how to basically bring back the energy, because energy is like you take a swimming pool of negative energy. You put one drop of positive energy into that pool and it purifies it. So that's why there's 144,000 points within Sacred Hoop, because people belong to one of those energies. And I always explain to people, I said, imagine a room full of 144,000 candles. Which one do you belong to? You're not a separate energy. You become part of that candle and part of that energy, and that's what they have to connect in. And once they connect to that candle, they know who they are. And it's funny, like somebody talks, this one lady asked me if I can predict the future. And I said, I can see the future. But sometimes I don't like to predict it because number one, it may be not meant to be predicted. So she said, well, could you tell me when I'm going to die? I looked at her and I said, no. She said, but I really want to know if you could tell me when I'm going to die. I said, that's something that you don't want to know. It'll come when it's time. But she was very persistent. And she asked me a third time, do you know when I'm going to die? And I finally said, yes, I know when you're going to die. She said, when am I going to die? When you stop breathing. And she said, no, I really want to. I said, you're going to die tomorrow. And she had this shocking look on her face. Why tomorrow? I said, because tomorrow never comes. But then she finally got the message that I wasn't going to answer that particular question, because sometimes when we give certain information out, people expect it to happen with them not doing anything. But in order for that to come true, they have to make it come true. So they have to be the ones that are responsible for picking the right choices to make that particular thing happen that has been predicted. And
So I
yet you
suppose.
can change predictions that you have sometimes. Say
I
you
suppose.
have a premonition that you don't like, and it's really, really scary. This is a simple thing about tobacco. When you wake up, you can take tobacco in your hand and say, I do not like the premonition you gave me. Can you change it? You put it by your night table, go back to sleep. Guess what? It changes. About 90% of the time, it'll change it. If it's not, but if it's really meant to be, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But you can't interfere in it because then things happen to you.
We're going to be running out of time shortly, but just going to ask people. I know you've got a new Facebook page, so if people wanted to connect with you, they can. What's your Facebook page again? I've forgotten it. Is it?
Wa-Na-Nee-Che.
Uh, into- Something about the old ways. It's called to look for it on
Well,
Facebook.
there's one called the pathway to yourself or something like that. I can't
I'll look
remember.
it up and I'll put a link to it wherever we've put in this, whatever platform you're listening to it. There'll be a link to where the Facebook page is. But how do you spell Wa-Na-Nee-Che then if they want to connect with you on Facebook?
WA-NA-NEE-CHE.
CHE. Okay.
Uh,
Now,
uh, how do you spell it? What's your last name?
mine,
Yeah.
Wellborn.
How do you spell it?
WELB.
No. How do you spell it?
You got me. I love crap jokes as well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, jokes and humor is such a fantastic healing medicine that
I
people.
completely agree. In my book that I've just finished writing, a big thing is about being humorous and seeing the lighter side of life, not taking life far too seriously. I mean, this has been our first episode, and so we're just kind of establishing, you know, a little bit of your background and your mission. But in future episodes, I'll ask you some questions that people may want to hear, but they can also send in questions. Just
Yeah.
want to ask one thing before we wrap up, though: is people from your background or culture might not be too happy with you teaching things because a lot of people get the knickers in a twist about cultural appropriation.
Mhm.
Have you any thoughts on that with what you're sharing?
Yeah. Guilt.
Hmm?
They have a lot of guilt
Guilt, yes.
because it's like they hate to see who they are, and they don't like to look in the mirror and see a reflection of who they are. And even the Lakotas basically didn't like it, so the coyote, they said it's the trickster because it
Hmm.
basically tricks you, but it tricks you to seeing you who you really are in order for you to find out what you need to change.
I agree because I'm my background's in psychotherapy, and Carl Jung, you know, talks about the shadow and those behaviors that you see in other people that you dislike. It's just a mirror reflecting back at you what the things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
This has been really good talking to you because we are going to have to wrap this one up, but we're going to be coming back every week and putting questions to you. We'll have a bit of humour. We may even talk topical stuff because we are living in some crazy times, and you are definitely
Oh
living in a
yeah.
crazy country at the moment.
Remember, all the crazy people that are in insane asylums who see spirits are really sane.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to me today, and we'll be back again next week, and we'll
Okay.
put some more questions to you.
All right. Sounds great.
Okay, thank you.